Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we're going to go through a few garden notes from the month of July. Let's get going. Well, what an odd year it's been so far in 2023. We had a bunch of weather in the wintertime, and so far this summer has been incredibly active from a weather standpoint. It's also been unnaturally hot, like 115 heat index regularly this past week. It was miserable for most of us. As you can see this morning, we're having a few thunderstorms. The temperature's down to about 88, but the humidity is stifling. So what I thought we would do today is just kind of go through and let's do a quick tour of the gardens and just point out a few things that we've noticed so far in July. The first thing I wanted to do was just sort of take a macro look here at the old garden. We did a total revamp of this entire garden over the fall and winter into last year, and it's really paid off. But I think more than anything, it really looks good and has been able to attract a lot of the pollinators, which was the whole entire goal of the revamp. So with all that being said, I just wanted to say this was a great idea. We'll probably end up using this same philosophy with the pollinators on the outside and a few windbreaks around the garden to help prevent things going forward. And while we're here, also another garden note. I do believe that I'm going to have to relocate my strawberries. This bed, for whatever reason, is just not working out. So what we're going to end up doing is we will just move our strawberries to a new bed we'll make this year, and I'll use this as a kitchen garden. So that's a whole new project that should be fun going into the fall and the winter. What's going on, Fries? Another thing here before we leave the old garden I wanted to point out is this Vegeta bed has worked out really well. We got really good turnips and greens from it in the spring. Heading into the summertime here, you can see these Roma tomatoes. They are doing really well. They are not ripening though as fast as the others, which really works out, and I know that sounds weird, but I want these Roma tomatoes to go for salsa, and our jalapenos don't really start putting off until late into the year. So it kind of works out perfect that these Roma tomatoes were planted late and they're going to ripen late. The other thing I wanted to point out here about tomatoes real fast is you can see we're tying this trellis system up and it's working out really well. We're getting a lot of cherry tomatoes. I think next year though, I'm going to use this trellis predominantly for cucumbers. And last on the list of notes for so far in July is look at these beans going crazy. You would think with the heat that it would burn them up, and it does. You can see some of these leaves here, they get pretty scorch burned or whatever, but you know, it's not bothering the plants as long as we keep the soil itself nice and damp. It's working out really well. They're getting flowers on them. I was a little afraid that they wouldn't put flowers off because of the weather, but so far it's worked out really well. And these haven't started to flower yet. I'm really hoping we get some purple whole peas from them. You know, it is what it is. We tried it. Chickens ate my lettuce, and so I wanted to have something here. If we get purple whole peas, I'll be incredibly satisfied with that development. The bamboo trellises, they have started to hold up a little bit. We've had some crazy winds this year. It broke the back end of it broke the front side of this one and the back end of this one, and they were both kind of folded in. We just reinforced them on those back T-posts, and we've had 2 to 3 storms move through since then, and so far they've held up really well. Luckily for us, it doesn't look like we had a lot of damage to our cucumbers when the storms came through. You can see this guy here, I went through and did a really hard prune on it. I like to take out the leaves and things as the year goes along. All that does is let the wind flow through this right here, and then what'll happen is, as you can see the vines on the top, they're starting to come back down. So as they come down, it'll just give us more and more area for us to continue growing cucumbers for the rest of the year. Man, it is humid out here. The temperature has finally dropped, but it feels like I haven't been able to stop sweating for the last month. Let's go ahead and take a step in here to the top garden and just have a look around real quick. I do want to say, sort of in conjunction with what we had in the old garden, we put a lot of time into the peripheral parts of this garden this past year. It has paid off on the downside. We definitely need to make sure that we put a little attention into putting a windbreak on the top side of this garden. We had our corn ripped out, and we've had several squash plants that we've lost. But with that, let's go take a look at just a couple things real quick. So notably for July, I just wanted to point out the beans are the same way down here. We put these beans in roughly the same time. They are also starting to flower. We're really hoping that they kind of come off together. We want to try our hand at canning some green beans this year. Those of you who watch the channel know that one of our goals is trying to be as self-sufficient as possible, and that's going to be an upcoming video. We think we've made major strides, so we have plans for next year in that regard that we'll be breaking to you folks soon. We won't go over the peppers or the eggplants. Those things are supposed to be doing really good this time of year. I do want to give a shout out though to this zucchini plant over here. It is a trooper. It has been beat up all year in that bucket, and it is still putting off a zucchini. In fact, we picked one this morning, and I do want to show this. Speaking of zucchini, these are the two. Actually, there was just one that was left. We had two zucchini in here whenever the season started. The wind that broke our corn came through and it killed this zucchini here, and that one was doing just fine right up until the last storm that came through, and it just broke it right off at the ground. So anyway, so you know, it's only July, so zucchini grow real fast, and we have plenty of time as long as you take care of them. So we replanted them, and as you can see, both of the seeds that we put in the holes came up. So what we'll do is we'll just thin out the smallest one here over the next couple days, and hopefully by the time the year is out, we'll have more zucchini. Just real fast, I wanted to mention the same thing here. We have purple holes here. We also have a few in the top garden that we didn't see just now. Again, what we're really trying to do is press as much food as we possibly can into the cupboard and the freezer for this upcoming winter. I'm really excited about how much food we've gotten this year, and we're hoping that come soon we can start really pushing the amount of food that we grow and eat ourselves and stop a reliance on the grocery store and that sort of food chain. But again, we'll talk about that more in upcoming videos. But the only other thing I wanted to go over real quick were these guys. We have already started canning Roma tomatoes, and as you can see, it is going to be a weeks-long process. Look at this up here. Now, we should all be getting tomatoes this time of year, and you know, it's not really noteworthy to have Roma tomatoes, but this is probably the best production that I've had off of a small number of plants since I've started gardening. So you'll forgive me if I just want to show off for a minute. Look at those in there, man. So just a few notes to throw in here at the end. We did start pulling honey. We got a little over 2 gallons. We only had like 6 racks that were ready to go, so we put them back in there. It looks like come August though, we are going to have a huge amount of honey. Another thing we wanted to try to start doing over the next couple years is learning how to split our own hives and getting a few more honeybees in here, because our neighbors are really enjoying the honey and our bees are really enjoying the gardens. I think our gardens are enjoying the bees too, so it's kind of one of those awesome symbiotic relationships, I suppose. Hopefully you all enjoyed these little random notes. I think for the rest of the year on Fridays, I'll probably do this just because there's so much going on, and a whole lot of it just doesn't deserve its own video. Not only that, but I kind of enjoy getting on here with you folks and just rambling and talking about just random topics for the day. It breaks up the video making a little bit here and there. As always, I appreciate you folks for hanging out with us today. Till next time, I hope everyone takes care of themselves. Peace.